We went to Yellowstone and booked our most expensive excursion ever, and we missed it. But that wasn't the only challenge that Yellowstone threw our way.
Nope, Yellowstone was full of RV woes, DIY fixes, and plenty of epic wildlife encounters, and we can't wait to show you. All right, so here we are, truth, full disclosure. We like to keep it real with you guys. Right now, this video, as you are watching it, is filmed in real time. You guys are gonna see everything we say here within 5 days, which is actually not our norm. Our norm is normally about what? How long of a delay?
6 to 8 weeks.
It protects our real-time location, but what's the truth about why we're filming right now?
All right, so we spent 18 days at our first place in Yellowstone, and we had a lot of epic adventures. We went through the footage and realized we didn't talk to you guys that much.
Nope.
We captured everything for you, but we didn't talk too much there. And a couple of the clips that we did.
And some of those clips, without any context, you're going to be like, why are you showing us this, Sid? So that's where we come in today. We wanted to bring you along. We want to make sure you guys feel like you were there with us because A, we did have some really crazy mishaps, but we also saw some epic things, and we want to make sure you guys understand what's going on. And really, what do we like to say in our house? We always want what type of experience?
The full experience.
So, all right. So Yellowstone was our big rock of the year. Like we had to go to South Dakota. Which we showed you guys all the voting laws, all that stuff. That was non-negotiable for us. We had to get registered to vote. So we had to go to South Dakota. So then we started talking and it was like, okay, what is the one thing on this route that we really, really want to do? And that's where Yellowstone came in.
And so ultimately we spent about 5.5 weeks in the Yellowstone area. This week's episode, we're going to share the first 18 days that we had just outside of the West Yellowstone entrance, which is where we were able to get into the park most of the time as well.
Yes, this is where we were absolute tourists, first-time visitors to Yellowstone National Park, and we had some major bucket list item. What was the one thing going to Yellowstone you were like, this needs to happen. I need to see this or do this?
I wanted to see a bear.
Yes, and for me, I wanted to see wolves. But before we show you the bears and the wolves, because we will, I promise, let's talk about some RV life that, got a little wild in that 18-day stay.
All right, so our first thing, we had the holiday, 4th of July, and we did some cleaning of the fans, some maintenance of stuff that was like, yeah, this is due.
Yeah.
Things were going good, and then we were just using our fresh tank and our water pump, so we were not connected to the city. And all of a sudden, our water wasn't working.
Right. I went to go wash my hands and no water came out. And when we always use the water pump, that's not the first time that's happened. I was like, hey, would you mind flipping I'm soapy. Would you mind flipping the water pump on?
And so I go to open the control panel to turn the water pump on because I'm like, because you could tell, the reason there was no water was it was off. Everything on the control panel was off. It was blank.
Yeah. And when you went to push a button to turn something on, the light would just blink at you.
So it was like nothing from the control panel would work. And so started to try to troubleshoot here.
We should also mention it's officially July 4th weekend at this point.
Yeah. So your dealership, Brinkley customer service, everybody's closed. It's the holiday weekend and we don't have anything on our control panel. So as you can see, that's our water pump, all of our lights. We don't have access to any of this. Yeah. So we were able to specifically know, okay, it was the control panel, but we'd flip the breaker. That didn't do anything. So then I got on Facebook. It was a holiday weekend to see, does anybody else, have had the same issue with this? And another guy just I found his post, just recently had the same issue, had to reset his control panel. And so then he recommended he had to reset the control panel, and I was like, well, what does that mean? Because we took the fuse out and we put it back in. We could see it wasn't the fuse for the control panel, but the fuse would light up. If your fuse blown, you would have a little, I think, red light next to it. So
yes, that's true.
We could see the fuse was still good, but we still took it out, tried to reset it.
Yeah, I think I cleaned it or something. But anyway, sorry. Like this. You know.
That's how she cleans,
Like one of these.
that's how she cleans anything.
Get out of here. Keep going.
So, okay, long story short, it's like reset it. We had to like to pull the power out of the control panel and then put it back in and something. We couldn't even find the control panel, the actual control panel.
Oh yeah, I didn't know what he was talking about because yeah, you're right.
We still haven't found it.
Yeah.
She don't know because we still haven't.
Yep.
So once I realized to disconnect the power to the control panel, even though we couldn't find it because the fuse wasn't enough to reset it. So what I did was I turned our battery disconnect off. So at that point what we disconnected all power flow, turned it back on, and then our control panel reset and came back on, and we were able to use everything. So I think it was just kind of a fluke thing and we're good to go.
What else happened to the rig while at that 18-day Yellowstone stay?
Okay.
This was the worst, and actually we literally in the last 7 days just discovered what was causing this issue.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
We'll share that with you later.
Yes, but what happened? Actually, I think we have video of it. Roll the video.
So we're packing up, getting ready to leave today. Sydnee was feeling the fresh. I thought I heard like dripping. Our underbelly is leaking. So we're gonna take this off. We shut the water off. We're gonna take this off and see what's going on. Someone at Brinkley is missing their knife. Here it is. A few objects that were left behind. And the wires that are wet. Oh, God, face. This is what they said would happen. What is it gonna be today? This is RV life.
Did it smell clean? Like fresh water?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That's a win. I'm calling that.
But I haven't
win.
smelled anything dirty, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it happened
Well, it's filling.
feeling fresh. Alright, so here's what I'm seeing.
Well, at least we know for sure it's fresh.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. There looks like there's a water line where it's happened before and dried, maybe. Heading back that way.
So like the line to fill the fresh, maybe?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's just a loose clamp. But who knows?
Okay, the good news is there's very little water in here. And okay, so it's flex pipe, it's the blue and white, oh, I know. It's the blue and white flex pipe, and it's just like down, and it's dripping. That looks like it's literally just like down, and water's dripping out of it. I don't know if it came unconnected, or what, I don't know what it goes to. It's this. This is leaking. It looks like it's like an overflow tube. Okay. So we discovered that leak on travel day. We were filling the tanks because we were going boondocking and we weren't going far. And so we were filling our fresh and like we were ready to hitch, and that all happened.
Yeah. But despite the RV chaos that ensued over those 18 days, we had literally the most epic wildlife moments of our lives. And I am so excited to tell you guys about them. And I should note, like, this was the rock. This was the highlight. Like, we wanted to do something really epic and really major. And so we spent money on the most expensive thing we've ever done, like that, like excursion or adventure, whatever you want to call it, by hiring a wildlife biologist to take us for a full day into the park on a wildlife safari to show us all of the natural and the animals in their natural habitat of Yellowstone.
But life doesn't always go as planned, and we had one of our biggest mishaps. Let's take you back to the morning of the adventure.
Good morning, everyone. Today is a very special day. We have hired a wildlife biologist to take us into the park of Yellowstone. This has been by far the most expensive adventure we have ever booked in our lives. We're going to reveal to you how much it was and if it was worth it at the end of the day. But I will say this, we are off to sort of a bittersweet start. There was some confusion in the communication about what day we were supposed to be meeting. And as a result, the compromise was that we are past dawn, and dawn is the best time to be in the park to see wildlife, and we aren't even getting started yet. You want to tell everybody what happened?
I booked the trip for Thursday the 27th, and in my brain I thought I scheduled it for Friday, and I had it on my calendar for Friday, and all along with our work week, we planned for Friday, and I thought it was Friday. Well, yesterday, Thursday, when I woke up, I got a text message that we missed our tour.
So anticipation was high. We had been planning this out we booked this thing months ahead, or how far? A while ahead. I'm not sure. Got my timelines and directions.
Like 2 weeks ahead.
Don't rely on me for timelines and directions, guys, ever. Like scientific and historical facts, I'm your gal, but she's your gal on those others. So anyway, we were so excited. Like all we talked about for days and days and days leading up to this. And on Thursday morning, I'm thinking our adventure is supposed to be Friday morning. On Thursday morning, Amanda gets up early in the morning. She usually wakes up before me. That's normal. And she never comes in and wakes me up ever. Like that's her alone time. You have to schedule alone time in RV life. That's her alone time. And all of a sudden I sense her at the foot of the bed, and I wake up and she's sobbing. Jeez, we gotta relive that moment. Okay. What was going on? So, I'll tell it. So she woke up, did her morning routine, I'd imagine, did her stretches, I would assume, and at whatever point of the day she checks her phone, she had some messages.
So I had a message from the guy that I had texted earlier in the week, like the day before, I said, we'll see you on Friday.
Yeah.
I had the date mixed up, and we talked about where to meet, and I had like a missed call, 2 missed calls and a text, and he's like, hey, I'm assuming you overslept, you're not here, your tour was today. And so I went back and double checked and read everything frantically. I just said it was Friday. When we booked it, we put it on our calendar on Friday. I just always thought it was Friday. So I called him frantic, upset, this is, we had our whole routine of okay, we're going to go to bed at this time, have everything ready. I'm we were nowhere near ready. And he's like, well, if you want to meet in a little bit. And I'm like, no.
Because we were supposed to meet at what time?
5:30 or 5 or something crazy.
The best time to see wildlife anywhere, but including Yellowstone, is dawn, those moments before the sun rises, and dusk, those moments after the sunrise. And so, truly, that's when you're going to see, if you want to see bears and wolves when you go to Yellowstone, you're getting up at 4 a.m. and you're getting out the door.
So he's like, well, we can still go later or go tonight. And I'm like, we spent
price.
So much money. This is the biggest thing she wanted to do. I'm like, no, we're not doing it, half. So I was like, is there any way, we can still go tomorrow? We have it on our schedule for tomorrow. Is there any way we can go tomorrow? And he's like, let me see what I can make work. All of their guides, you have a personalized guide to take you through, and they were all in the park, and there's no service in the park. So he's like,
right.
I've put a text out to all of our groups to see if anybody can do the tour tomorrow, but I won't know until 3 or 4 this afternoon when they're back from today's tours and they have service. So we had to sit and wait.
Right. We didn't know, are we going to be able to get rescheduled or not? Because if he couldn't find somebody who could do it for us tomorrow like we originally had scheduled, then he wasn't going to be able to do it for 2 more weeks. And it was
the last day before our travel day.
And even though it was our fault, I will say this, the company did everything they could to make it right.
So we patiently waited that entire day. Lots of tears going on. We didn't know if we were going to be rescheduled. We kind of then put together, okay, we're planning to go to Yellowstone tomorrow. If they can't meet us, let's take ourselves on our own tour. It was also partially our mistake. So we kind of started to look at things there.
And I was like, let the research begin. So I just started consuming information from every platform I could on Yellowstone wildlife, which actually for me was a great day.
And what was the big place you wanted to go for the animals?
Lamar Valley.
Okay, so Lamar Valley was like what we knew of where you can see the wildlife. So we had our whole plan, Lamar Valley, like that's where we thought we were going. Anyway, they texted us that afternoon, and Alex was able to meet us, same place. He was coming from a different location up in Bozeman further, so we did start about 30 minutes later, but he was very accommodating. We met him, and he was fantastic.
Yeah, hence the Bitter Betty morning you saw. We were still just kind of healing, licking the wounds, basically.
Yeah.
Well, the animals, there hadn't been much to see in the last couple weeks in Lamar, so we went to Hayden Valley, and this is where the epic starts.
Yeah. So where was our first stop?
So Hayden Valley, he asked, like, he can't guarantee, you're going to see any particular animal. He goes, but tell me your number one, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure we hit the number ones. So my number one was wolves. And guys, we got to see the Wapiti pack. Remember that hike back in Mogollon Ram where we learned Wapiti is the native word for elk? So we got to see the Wapiti pack, 7 wolves take down an elk. So we saw them chasing the elk. We saw a pursuit, and then they went over the ridge, and we did not actually see the physical takedown of the elk, but then we did see them. They drug the carcass back up, or that's where it landed as we were searching where'd they go, on the ridge, and we saw the 7 wolves together eating and howling and consuming the carcass of the elk, and
It was awesome.
I'm still so grateful, and I'm like getting choked up today thinking about one of the most epic moments of my life by far. From there, what was your number one?
My number one was a bear. And so
A grizzly bear specifically.
And so bears have always been my favorite animal. And so then we had to drive. We went down by Yellowstone Lake. So the cool thing is with going through these guides is not only do they have the experience, but they have group chat, right? So they're communicating with each other of, the wolves are here, or, at this spot the wolves left. And so then they know, like, to meet up, or, kind of where the animals are that morning and day. So we went over to Yellowstone Lake, and we saw the mama grizzly and her cub, and her name's Raspberry. And
the grizzly's name is Raspberry, yep, and she had 1 cub.
Yeah, it was just awesome.
It was, okay, so the morning we were with Alex, we were with our guide, we got to see her up on a ridge, and we got to spend maybe somewhere between, 30 and 60 seconds with her. It was brief.
She went up over the ridge, and then it was like, she was gone.
So she was gone. Okay, so from there, that was like all by, 9 a.m. or something. Like that was all very early in the day. So he continued to take us and show us to amazing places in the park. He had a packed lunch. We had a beautiful picnic. What did we see? We saw what else? We saw marmots. What else did we see that day with him?
Lots of elk.
Tons. We got to be with herds of bison. He took us off on an off trail, like on a bison trail up, and we got to literally kind of be with the herd at a safe distance, but at a close distance, and be with the herd and follow the tracks to where the wolves had taken the elk down. We saw some wolf tracks, wolf poop, all the bison tracks, and it was just cool. And what was the non-animal thing that blew your mind? You remember?
The Grand Canyon of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, oh my gosh, and this waterfall and where the Yellowstone River comes through. It was just so beautiful. And so he dropped us off, and that was a cool thing about the tour. He would drop us off, show us all the spots, and, it kept the day. We saw so much in that one day.
Yeah, and so from there, we noticed we didn't mention the amazing geysers and springs and all of that it's known for, and that's because we did a full-on tourist day a few days before where we went to see Old Faithful, of course. We got to see Old Faithful erupt. We got to see all of the beautiful geysers and springs. And then on another day, we did an epic hike before it exploded, literally 5 or 6 days before it exploded. What hike did we do and we get to see?
Biscuit Basin, and that hike was awesome. It took us to a waterfall, and it was a good hike too.
It was epic, and thank goodness my review reader lady brought the bug spray.
Oh man, the bugs were so intense. And I read the reviews, and everybody's like, so we're in long sleeves, like, and bug spray, and you see some of these young kids out there in tank tops.
Like crop tops and booty shorts and no bug spray. I'm like, ooh, you're like eating a lot. You just see it on them, like little black spots and patches, because they swarm. Like a few nights later, we took an epic hike up to, was it Fairy Falls or Fiery Falls? Which one? Fiery Falls?
One of them, maybe.
It's on the screen right now for you. We took a hike up there, and that was an amazing hike. And literally at one point I looked over on Amanda's shoulder and there was like 40 mosquitoes on it. Thank goodness she had on long sleeves. But so we did the touristy days ourselves, and we saw also all the amazing hot springs. I mean, you were like mind blown, I feel like.
Yeah, so we started, we did like, we're like, let's just do the tourist stuff. And so we started with Old Faithful, and I had no idea like how big, like the parking and everything. 'Cause so many like Class C's, and so if you have a small rig, definitely, Vans, it was friendly in there, but, and the gift shop and the restaurant, and the facilities and the nature center of all that. And we like hiked around and saw all the different geysers, and our first bison right by Old Faithful. And it was just, and the pools were my favorite, like the colors, and the video doesn't even barely capture it, but that was
so
awesome.
So we learned something. That first tourist day, I really wanted to see Grand Prismatic. Like, I can remember growing up, my mom was always talking about Yellowstone, and it's a super volcano. It's one of 5 super volcanoes in the world, and if it blows up, it's like a planet killer, right? Like, so there's that like magic there, and that's what all that beauty comes from, is those volcanoes. But I really wanted to see the Grand Prismatic pool. And that first day...
Okay, so the first day, we went early. We were in the park by 7, Old Faithful in the 9 o'clock hour. And it was 2 o'clock, and we're driving out, and we're like... they were pretty close, so I was like, let's do Grand Prismatic. And we drive by, and it's packed. And the line to go in, and I was like, I'll bring you back in the morning.
Yeah, we were kind of whooped, I
was like, I'll bring you back in the morning. I was like, we're not dealing with this traffic, so we leave. So then we get back, so the next morning we're like, we'll go there first. We get there at 7 a.m. and
nailed it. Ample parking.
The only one's there, easy to walk, and it's cold.
And you're just walking through steam. You can't see anything. You're in this steam, fog, sulfur, haze. It's almost like a fisherman, out at sea early mornings. You can't see anything. Experiencing it like that is worth it. I highly recommend. But you're not going to see this beautiful, stunning color that we went and saw that second night when we did the Fiery Falls hike. On the way to the Fiery Falls
is the overlook. So we did the boardwalk the first day and the overlook, and then so we did the overlook again that second day. And because we were to avoid the crowd, you got to go earlier in the evening. So we're we'll do an evening hike and see it once it's warmed up and the fog was gone, and that was worth it.
Oh yeah, it was. Just really special. Really one of those moments that you're never gonna forget for sure. It takes your breath away.
Yeah, but even seeing the elk,
oh yeah, I've never seen an elk at all.
We never saw the elk, so that was cool too.
And we had some pretty amazing bison moments. Before we did the Biscuit Basin hike, we got there pretty early in the day, but we decided to sit. We had done some other stuff, and we decided to sit on the tailgate and have lunch. And these 2 bull bison came through, and the one was just kind of kicking his legs up in the air and ramming a tree, and kind of, because the rut season was soon approaching, and so they're starting to show everybody how tough they are, and it was...
Yeah, so we got from a safe distance some pretty cool views and kind of hung out with them. That was cool.
All of those epic adventures and things that we got to see for the first time in our lives made any of the other nonsense we had to go through driving through those bumpy roads and everything else to get there was so well worth it. And really, this was a special time too, because it really felt like we were starting to, at this point, of releasing videos, grow a community with you guys. And I feel like we're really starting to hit our stride there, and we are just so grateful to every single one of you guys who watches our content each week and comments. Like, it really does mean the world to us. So thank you.
And if you saw our previous episode when we were in Moab, when we had a little cutting board mishap, thank you for this comment. Totally saved the day, and we revived our old cutting boards.
So take a look at that. Oh, snap. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
We found them.
Truth be told, we already bought others, but that's really good.
Hello.
Well, that was so easy.
I know, so there's these little, you pull it all the way out, and then these little tabs. Look how tiny they are.
I never even would have thought about those.
One side pushes up, the left side pushes up, you pull up, and you press down on the other side, and it slides right out. So thank you. So thank you so much to Don Rooney, who also is a Brinkley owner, for the comment and the tip. You just saved our day and saved our cutting boards. All right, the time has come. We just got from Amazon a clipper set. So we're going to attempt to give each other our own haircut.
Hopefully this is instructions on how to cut hair. I don't think it is, though.
We're going to be watching some YouTube. So one of the great things about being put for 18 days and staying at that resort was, as you can see, we had access to Amazon. And we got a few things. So stay tuned to next week as we're going to learn some new skills. And it's where we got our sticker map.
So ever since we decided that we were going to be full-time RVers, Mandy has wanted, one of those maps. And well, today is the day. We finally agreed on a place that it could go, which was really my only big holdup. I didn't want a big map on the side of our RV, so come with me.
Okay, so our our goal of all 50 states by 50. This map is going to be the tracker of that. So it's not just any state we go through. It's staying 2 consecutive nights in the state, a hike, and grocery shopping in the state.
Okay. Now the part I know you've been waiting for. Shall we swap?
Okay, where the journey started, Arizona. Okay, we were in Arizona for 3.5 months. Where'd my face? And then we went to Utah. How long were we in Utah?
2 months, I think. And where have we been the last 2 weeks?
Idaho! This is our second spot in Idaho.
It is?
Yeah, Bear Lake, we were on the Idaho side.
Oh, yeah.
So a total of 27 nights in Idaho. Oh, this one's wiggly to line up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it! Very exciting, it looks cool! I love it! But this is not where Alaska is.
Nor is Maine a peninsula.
Right. We grew up in school just thinking Maine was this peninsula. Canada's up here. Canadians, sorry.
So that's the high-low of the Yellowstone experience. I mean, overall, it was great. It was epic. So now the real question, though, how much was that excursion and was it worth it? So with tip, because it's service, so with tip, it was about $1,500 for the day excursion and having, the private tour Alex to drive us around, lunch, all of that. And ultimately, I would say it was worth it. It was like a one bucket thing of the year. We're not doing things like that every week, every month. But because of that experience that we saw with the bear, we went back like a week later to the park and we knew where to go.
and we also knew what the tour vehicles looked like.
Yeah.
And the scopes, and we had our own, we got our own scope, and we went back. And when we went back, we were actually able to spend about 90 minutes with Raspberry, the grizzly bear and her cub, and watched her, and she jumped in the lake. And so because of that experience with Alex, we knew a lot more about the park, and we were able to better utilize our time and saw more wildlife on our own than we would have seen.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's interesting. So here's the reviews. If the was it worth it the day of that we said. We just got back to the truck. Alex dropped us off. Alex was truly great. But the real question is, was today worth the $1,500 with tip and everything all in? We spent $1,500 for today. Was it worth it?
I would say yeah. I would do it again. Or I would suggest it. So getting the experience, the scope, like all of that, learning the things, like would I do it again while I'm here next time? Probably not, but it's something being the first time to the park, paying for a private tour guide and someone to drive around all day to learn that, to give me a better, now I feel I have even more knowledge to explore it on my own.
Yeah, the amount of information today that we learned about the wolves was really cool. For me personally, if I was going to spend that kind of money again, I would just go buy a scope. But I don't have any regrets about spending the money, but no, I probably wouldn't do it again. So that's what we thought day of, but now, having 2 months to reflect, like I would agree that it was absolutely highly worth it, because I now know we had that 90 minutes with Raspberry, and that was it was epic.
And I think the thing, kind of what I learned too, of like going to Yellowstone, a different experience, like us seeing the wolves and the bear, that is things we would have not seen with our naked eye or known where to go. Now, some people go to Yellowstone, and as they're driving, the bear goes and crosses the road, and they just had that great experience of seeing the bear with their naked eye.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No.
So
that's very rare. Less than 5% of visitors
so
have
I mean, some people will just see them, or they see them on a hike. Like, that does happen. But for the experience that we got, like, we wouldn't have known where to look and what to go. And I wouldn't have known that I wasn't going to see that with my naked eye, that I needed the scope.
Yeah. So, I mean, Yellowstone, those first 18 days, absolutely epic. From there, we actually go boondocking, and we stay in the greater Yellowstone area and have more amazing adventures to show you. But we showed you how that travel day started as we were leaving that campsite. Well, this is how that same travel day ended.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and join us next Thursday to find out why we had to dial 911.